hope everyone's well. It is just coming up to 8 o'clock. So we've got, well, we had 3 jobs on for today. So it was doing maintenance on 2 ponds and a water feature. But I actually had a phone call yesterday from one of my regular customers and he's got a problem with his pond. So we are going to try and fit in 4 maintenance jobs today. So hopefully we get them done. They'll only be short jobs of just the general maintenance and stuff. But we will get cracking on them and we will show you the ponds, have a look over the filtration and have a quick chat about it. So keep watching and we'll get to it. Right, then we'll go around and have a look. So this customer, he's worked very hard on this garden. He's done a lovely job of it. It's Japanese style he's done. He's been just building it up over the years and there's so much going on in this garden and some great little ideas as well and things that they've done to make it look lovely. You see, here's a pond. Yeah, look at all this, just unbelievable. I love these little pots hanging on here, and then he's got some Japanese lanterns over there. Yeah, the pond is 3 metres by 2.5 or 1.2 metres deep. Got some nice koi in there. A lot of goldfish in there now as well. I think he gets given fish occasionally that he takes in. Blade's not on at the moment. Yeah, lovely pond. He did this. It's actually polished sandstone. This is nice finish. Yeah, pond is fiberglass, and then it is run from one central bottom drain. Originally that shed was already there, so we didn't have huge amounts of room for big filters, so we'll just go across before we do the maintenance. I'll quickly show you what we've got. Yeah, pumps rattling a bit. Yeah, that's the setup. So we are on the Cetus Evolution Aqua Cetus sieve. Goes to one of the original blue Evolution Aqua Bead filters, and to the 55 watt UV and back to the pond. Yeah, as you can see from the water clarity, just go through the window there, try not to get a glare. Yeah, it's lovely and clear. Never had a problem with it, so it's always stayed crystal clear. It does have the canopy over the top, which helps prevent a lot of sunlight getting to it. But yeah, considering the amount of fish that are in there and the size of the pond, it does an absolute cracking job. So anyway, we'll get the maintenance done and go through that as we're doing it. Right then, as I'm sure some of you are aware, first thing we start off with, the all-important water test. Once again, checking ammonia, nitrite, pH and KH. KH is very important around here. I'm continually buffering this water to make sure that it's got stable pH. Get that done. Right then, it will get a bit noisy in here because we'll have to use the blower. First thing we will try and do, which one's the air pump on? So the transformer, yes, first one, lovely. Well, I'll just turn the air blower off so it's just a bit quiet. Right, the first thing on these that I like to do is we'll leave it all running, but we'll just give it a purge. Because I do find the bead will catch anything that's going through. So it's worth giving it a purge first, get all the gunk through. You can see it going down into the sieve now, so we'll flush that out after. Yeah, some lovely stuff coming through there. Just basically we'll hold that down until it starts to run clear. You might need to let it back up in between, because obviously you don't want the actual sieve filling up too much. Yeah, we'll just purge that through just to get rid of the large waste. You can see that's starting to run fairly clear now. Next we will flick the pump and the UV off. We'll now drain pull that gate valve located at the bottom. That will drain the sieve down. Just drain all that gunk out and then we'll clean that down. Right, siev's all clean. One last little bit in there. Let me just clean it and then more bits come through. But yeah, that's all clean in there now. So we shall shut the valve back off. Right, and then we're going to clean the bead. So as I say, being as you have to have the air blower on, it will be very noisy. So first thing we do is we shut this off, because otherwise it will blow air back to the pond. So you either need to have a non-return valve or an isolation valve on that. We are then going to spin this round to rinse, and then we can turn the blower on. We open that up, you'll see that'll start to churn and bubble in there. Right then, that's been bubbling now for a good few minutes, so very important, isolate this off before you do anything, because it has happened before. You forget to turn this off, you turn your pump on, water will pump straight up into your air blower, can damage the air blower. I have found 9 times out of 10, if that ever happens, it will take out, obviously trip the power. So if you trip the power and then you realise that you haven't done the ball valve up and water has gone into the air blower, don't try to use the air blower. Just either take it inside, or if it's warm enough outside, leave it for a good couple of days, let it dry out, and 9 times out of 10 they'll work again. And you just need to let them dry out. So just give them some time. Don't try and turn it back on or anything else, because if there's water got into it, then you're just gonna damage it further. So yeah, just turn it off and whip it off. You can take it off here and then obviously take it off the wall if it's fitted onto anything. And yeah, just let it dry off. Right, after that, so we made sure we turn that on. Now, the way I actually like to do it now is do a backwash on there to give it a good thorough clean. So we spin this round to backwash, which is there. We will then open the ball valve. God, try and do it one hand, it's hard. Open the ball valve back up, and then we will turn the pump on. And what that will be doing is, rather than the water coming up from the bottom and sieving through the media, it's actually coming in from the top. And it's good as well, because there's like finger prongs in there, and when you do the backwash, it just makes sure it cleans them all. And we'll then bleed a bit of air out, because I don't actually do this for too long. It's just to make sure, as I say, all the fingers are clean. So we'll bleed some air out of there using the bleed valve. The sieve just started running again. You can see, well, you might be able to see in the camera, that's now starting to fill back up with water from bleeding it. Will be enough in there. So yeah, I just do that for just a minute or so, and then I just repeat the process of bubbling it. So we'll do that back up, we'll turn the pump off, we'll isolate the valve here, we'll turn it back to rinse. It's always got to be in rinse position, because you need the air to come up from the bottom to bubble the media. If you leave it in backwash, obviously the air is just going to come out of the top, and that's not going to bubble anything. And then turn the blower on and open it up. They're very good, the blowers are as well, to be honest. When you're using it, and you probably can't see it on the camera, but when you're actually looking in there, I mean, it's almost like a tumble dryer effect. It seriously churns the media. You won't have any waste left in the media, that's for sure. Right, and that's been bubbling for a few minutes now. So again, make sure you turn that back off. We will then we'll leave this in rinse, and it'll be very hard for you to see the rubbish coming out, but there is a sight glass here, so we're going to run that until the water through that sight glass starts to become clear. So we'll open that back up and turn the pump on. Bleed a bit of the air out of there. Yeah. That's not running too bad, to be fair. Not that dirty at the moment, which is good. Right then, that's all clean, so we will turn the pump off. We will then turn this back to filter and then pop this back on and then just bleed out some of the air. The media float up. And that's it, all clean and done. It's as simple as that. As I say, it's a cracking little system. Works very well. As I said earlier, considering the size of the pond and the amount of fish in there, it never really has any water quality issues, which is good. They've changed these slightly now. Obviously, Evolution Aqua mould them themselves. I'm doing a video as well. In the shop, we have made a slight modification because we do run a bead filter in the shop. So look out for that video because it does help and improve the bead massively. So yeah, it's well worth a watch when I do that video. While we are on filtration and looking at this filter, on this pond, this filter works absolutely ideal. But I see a lot on social media, you know, people posting things, oh, are these filters any good? And then someone will put, oh yeah, that's great, or oh no, that's not great. And all these companies that are making, designing, manufacturing filters, Evolution Aqua, Oase, they spend thousands and hours on development, testing. These products aren't just made overnight and then they put them to market. They're thoroughly tested. So my point is that nearly all these products that these companies bring out, they're all great products. They will all work very well and they will filter your pond brilliant. The issue is the scenario where they're installed sometimes. When people are asking, is a filter good? It may be brilliant on someone's pond, but on a different pond, no pond that I've ever seen or built myself is exactly the same. And what you get then is in different ponds, different scenarios, different stocking levels. If it's an in-ground pond, above ground pond, how much sunlight you're getting. There's so many factors that come into play that it makes a massive difference on the filter that we would pick and choose and recommend installing on that pond. So if you're thinking about changing your filter or you're building a pond and you're unsure on what filters to go for, my first key piece of advice would be go to a dealer and speak to them. And then the second thing as well is if you can find a dealer that actually installs the filters or has previously installed the filters or runs the filters in their shop so they can show you the good points, the bad points. And as I say, they will have a lot, if you're installing it, you'll have more knowledge on what's the best filter for that style of pond. Because as I say, they're always different. This works on this pond absolutely brilliant. Now, one of the main reasons for that is because A, it's a raised pond, so it's not getting massive amounts of debris going in there. I think a crucial factor on it is he's got the sunshade up. So this media, if it was taking out tons and tons of green water, algae, then I think it would get clogged and block a lot faster. But being as he manages to stop a huge amount of sunlight getting to the pond, it doesn't get much algae growth and it doesn't get green water. So you're not getting loads of green water coming through into there that's been caught and then making the pond clear. So it works brilliant on this pond. Years, a good, God, I'd say eight to 10 years ago, we installed one of these on a pond, and unfortunately we didn't realise at the time there was a pine tree, and the filter was pump fed, and pine needles kept falling into the pond. And it was fine to start off with, and then after a few months the customer called us and he said, oh, the filter, there's no water coming out of the filter. Got home one day, no water coming through. So we went over there, we cleaned it out, did the backwash, absolutely fine. Did all the backwash on it and everything. Next morning he phoned us again, he's like, it stopped again. He's like, there's no water coming through. We were like, I can't understand what's happening on this filter. So we stripped all the filter down. And as I said to you earlier, there is fingers that, like prongs, that come out into here. Now what was happening is, being as it was a solid handling pump, the pine needles were getting through the pump, but when they were getting into here, they were clogging all the fingers virtually instantly. And obviously when we were backwashing it, it was washing a few out, but being as they were long pine needles, they were getting stuck in there. Now, luckily, the customer was having, it was a new garden that he was having done, and we'd just done the pond. So some of the trees were actually coming down. So he decided to take the pine tree down as well, which sorted the problem. It ran fine ever since that. But yeah, as I say, unless I had installed that and found out that that was the problem, I always say to people, if they come in the shop now and we're looking at these bead filters, I always question them and say, you haven't got a pine tree in there, have you? Because as I say, it just didn't handle it. As I say, it was pump fed, so if you were doing gravity fed and going to a sieve, I'm sure that would be a different scenario again. But what I'm just trying to clarify is that both of these products in here are absolutely brilliant, and they run this pond wonderfully. But on a different style pond, it might not be the ideal filter for that pond. You might need to go for a different style filtration system. So yeah, just try and speak to people that are knowledgeable. Going on the internet, on social media, it's not always the best bet, because someone can have one view of a filter because they've installed it and it's worked wonderful on the pond. Another person on the same filter can have a terrible review on it because the situation that they've installed it in is just not correct. And the actual installation itself as well. And, you know, you need to know what you're doing on installing these products, so to get the best out of them. The heights, what pumps to put with them. So that's my advice. But anyway, we're all done on this one. So we'll just quickly check the water parameters. So I'd normally clean the blade down outside as well, but that's already clean because it hasn't been on. So I'll just have a quick check over the pond on the outside, and we'll get cracking and on to the next one. Obviously, while we've been doing the filters, we've just let this mature. So as you can see on that, completely, hopefully you can see it from the camera, I'll just give it a zoom in, but yeah, that is completely yellow. So zero ammonia, we've got absolute zero nitrite on there. As I said earlier, we're on about I'm looking at the wrong one there, sorry, my bad. We're on about 7 to 7.5, so that's fine on the pH. And then yeah, that was the KH, so that took 5 drops. That's absolutely perfect, so I'm happy with them test results. But yeah, obviously that's dropped the water level a bit. Unfortunately, the customer doesn't have an outdoor tap, so they will fill that up when they get home later. But yeah, this one's all done, and we shall go on to the next one. Right then, we've arrived at the next job. This is actually Chaii Gardens in Birmingham. So it's a drive-through food outlet And then they have a massive screen up there, which I think they do movies on. So this is where they prepare all the food. But yeah, they have this water feature. So we maintain the pumps on this and make sure that it's all cleaned down, tidy. And so they have it all, everything all lit up at night and it all running, so it's open in the evenings. So we will get cracking on it and get the maintenance done. Right then, it's very noisy, but we're all done. Fountains are all up and running, lights are working, and the water's coming down from the blades at the top. So we'll be on to the next one. Right then, good news and bad news. The good news is we're definitely going to make it to the 4th job today. The bad news is, unfortunately, I got to the 3rd job. The customer was letting me in and showing me what was going on, so I wasn't recording. But as soon as I lifted up the lid on the drum, it's actually the Oase drum, there is a hole in one of the sieves, so that will need replacing, and I haven't got any on me today. So we'll get that rebooked in, come over and do the work. It'll also need cleaning down because obviously it's been letting waste through into the clean side. So we'll try and do a video on that, the maintenance, and have a look at the pond at the same time. But yeah, unfortunately that won't be in this video, but we will try and get it in at a later date. So we will catch you on the next job, which is the 4th job of the day. So we will go over there and see if we can get that sorted. Right then, final job of the day. As mentioned, pond's around 4,000, well, just under 4,000 gallons to be fair, because the drum filter it's on is, I wouldn't go any bigger on the size pond for this size drum, but they've got some nice fish in there. So it's got lovely roof over it all and canopy, so doesn't get too much sunlight. Yeah, we relined this because the pond was actually, believe it or not, it was built out of single concrete blocks. And when we first got a call over to reline it because it was his old liner had started to leak. And then when we actually took the old liner out, the back wall across there had split in that corner and that corner, and was actually starting to lean back into next door's garden. So he then had to do a lot of structural work and get it all repaired, and then we came in and relined it for him. But he's got a spindrifter aerate bottom drain down there, and then there is also another bottom drain down there. The reason why they're both at the one end is because you won't be able to see on the video, but there's actually the pond goes from probably about 3 foot, 2.5, 3 foot at one end down to about 4.5 foot at the deep end. So there's a real good chamfer, so everything just slowly makes its way down to them bottom drains. Yeah, we'll go in the shed and have a look at what's going on. So right then, this is the filter shed. As you can see, he's running on the Oase Compact M. Lovely piece of kit. We've got 2 vari pumps. One is a 10,000, which is pulling from the skimmer and runs out to the water feature. You can also see here, we just put a bypass in. So if the main filter pump, which is a 20,000 vari flow over there, if that pump ever fails, excuse the drum cleaning, he can pull this slide valve up and then it will pull from the drum instead of the skimmer, which means that it can always have the filter running, because I say filter is the most important part of your pond. He's got a lot of UVs on there as well. He's got some serious UV power. We've got two 110 units, so he bought a unit and then there was a fault and he got sent another one, so he ended up with 2 or something. I can't exactly remember what happened, but yeah, we put both of them on there. He wanted to use them both, so I say it's a good sized pond. The sun does come in a lot from the one side onto the water as well, so it's worth having the extra UV power on there. And yeah, that's the Evolution Aqua Air pump, so that is running to this T-piece. Some of it then goes, I use speed fit on this one, some of it runs down and goes into the drum, and then the rest of it goes out and into the bottom drain, and that's controlled by this flow. flow taps here. So this is what we normally set up on most ponds that we build as well when you've got drum filters. So this, I don't know whether you can see in there, it's got a tank connector at the very bottom of the tank, just there. And then that goes just through into the pond, so that acts as a balance pipe. And then we have an overflow here, and then obviously that's an automatic topper, so that'll go back off in a minute. So yeah, when the drum cleans and the water starts to go down, that'll automatically fill up. Obviously if anything fails, or he puts, what this gives you the option to do is if he runs the water into the pond through a dechlorinator unit, then it'll also fill up the tank and it will just overflow there. So that's the top-up system that we put on. They work ideal as well, because as I say, that controls your water level exactly. I'd never recommend, if you can help it, running them off bottom drains and stuff, because the bottom drain, then as you're drawing water through it, it'll fluctuate on the height, depending on how much the pump's pumping. So you're better off, if you can, obviously if you've got to retrofit it, then sometimes there's no option. But yeah, if you can do, you're better off having a balance pipe and going to a little header tank like that. We get them from Tool Station, they're about £10 or something, and then you buy the lid separate. But yeah, as I say, it's running on the Oase drum, which absolute bulletproof unit. And then we've got the waste here, goes down into this sump, that's got a pump in there which pumps it all away. And then that's from the one bottom drain, that's from the second bottom drain. Now I'm going to show you, thank goodness, I don't know whether you can see it, but where the water's coming out, I thought from the video, being as it's so dark down here, I thought this was solid pipe, but it's actually just a flexi rubber connector, and all that's happened is it's just split. So we just need to switch that out, which we're going to do now. So we'll get that done, and then we'll get back to you. Obviously with it being right down there, you're not going to see anything, so I won't film it, but yeah, I'll get that switched out now. Yeah, this is what happened to the old one. You can see just perished and cracked, so get my finger through there virtually. So yeah, the water started coming out, so just needed changing over. So you do have to watch them. The rubber, these flexi joints are absolutely brilliant, but obviously over time they can perish, so you just need to keep an eye on them and make sure that you don't get any leaks. Right then, we're all back up and running. Yeah, as I say, it ended up just being the rubber, so that's all changed out now. Drum's cleaning quite a lot now because the water level's down a bit, but that'll slowly top back up. So yeah, all done on this one. All back up and running lovely. So we'll see you on the next one.